when I went and bid my first deal, I told the guy we would do $1 billion in 10 years. We hadn't sold the policy. $1 billion. We just finished our 10th year. We didn't do $1 billion. We're just shy of $800 million, which was so obnoxious. Like, it's obnoxious, but that was my goal. And I say to him all the time, do you believe me? He's like, dude, I didn't think you'd do 50 million. Nobody does 50 million, let alone 750 million. In my 20s, if I had made $1 million a year, you know what I'd done? Killed myself, probably. I liked smoking crack. I liked using cocaine. I've been sober 23 years. I like to drink too much. If I made $1 million when I was 22, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be in prison or dead.
What's been your secret to sales?
You know why most people struggle with sales? Do you know why most people struggle with sales? If I asked you why, what do you think? Why do you think most people struggle with sales?
I don't think they believe in themselves.
That's a good answer, because that's part of it. And then that lack of belief causes them not to work hard. I always tell people, when I started making money, my friends are like, yo, you think you're better than us, behind my back, obviously. And I'd be like, I don't think I'm better than you. I just want more out of life than you.
How can somebody own a private jet in today's world? What's going on, Hard Knocks family, and welcome back to Questions with Multimillionaires. I'm James, and I got a very special guest here today. I'm here with Sean Mike.
How you doing, man?
Doing great. We are out on his private jet in Miami, Florida. And for those who don't know Sean, could you give us a little bit of a background on yourself and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, man. I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I was broke as shit, and I didn't want to live my life broke. I went to college to play ball. That was about it. Got done playing ball, had a job for the state, and after a while I decided to get into real estate, and I built companies from there. I never got in business to be rich, but it's obviously done very well for me. I've become wealthy, which has been amazing. So real estate, waste management, life insurance, do a lot of investments. I have a lot of different companies that I run or I'm on the board, and had a lot of successful exits, and I've just learned a lot along the way. And I love what you're doing, because you're trying to give back to people. You're trying to truly educate people and give them the courage to go out there and figure out the information that a lot of people won't share with them. People will share if you ask them, and I love that you're asking me, man. So I live in Florida now. It's much nicer down here. And I live in Boca Raton. So if you stay in this jet long enough, we're going to go from here back to my house, so you'll be stuck.
I love it.
So
let me ask you this. You kind of double down, become an expert in the insurance business. Do you think entrepreneurs starting out, should they focus and become an expert, get really good at that one thing? Or what are your thoughts on diversification for entrepreneurs as opposed to just sticking to one industry?
That's a great question, by the way. First of all, you ain't going to be an expert. You know what I mean? I'm really good at life insurance. I do more distribution than anybody in my market by far. I'm not an expert. I'm getting better at it every single day, and I'm learning every single day. I think that you need to figure out what's making you money. The problem with most entrepreneurs, they do 9 things. And I go, okay, which one of them makes you money? And then when they tell me, I go, show me on paper. Oh, really? Like some of the people you interview, they should show you if they're making money for real.
Right. Yeah.
All I got to do is put you on a jet.
Right.
But they should show you if they're making money, honestly. Because most people go, I'm doing all these things. I go, cool, give me your P&L. Show me what you're making. What's your net? Like, what is your EBITDA? What's your net? Are you making money? Yeah. So if you're doing 9 things and one of them makes you money, I wouldn't necessarily try to be an expert. I just spent all my time doing the one thing that made me money.
Right. Then
when I started making real good money, I could go ahead and explore other things. But diversity kills most people in business, because they're spread so thin that they're like, I'm in 9 things. I'm so diverse. Look at my portfolio. I'm like, none of it makes you any money.
Yeah.
So the key is what's making you money. And also, the thing that makes you money may not be the thing you love right now. Right. That's okay. Go make it a bunch of money and then pursue what you love.
So where do you find that balance of following your passion as opposed to following what you're good at?
Depends on what you want in life, right? Like, how old are you?
21.
You got any kids?
No.
You can follow whatever the hell you want.
Right.
Seriously, right now you can follow whatever you want until you decide to get to where you need to get to.
Yeah.
But if you were 33 with 2 kids, I'd be like, you can't do that. You have to go make money. So the reality really is nobody can tell you what you need to do. And that's the problem for most people, is like they want everybody else's advice. Okay, well, for a minute, take your own advice. Just for a minute, figure out what do you really want. So I think, you know, for me, I did a lot of things I didn't love doing to make money to then go do things I love doing and love doing to make money. But it took some time. And the biggest struggle in today's world right now is every 20, 22, 25-year-old wants to be rich. I didn't make $1 million a year until I was in my 40s. I wasn't making, but it's a grind.
Right.
Now, there are things you can do to expedite. If I knew then what I know now, yes, I would have made $1 million a year in my 20s, but that was never my goal.
Yeah.
I never sought out to make money. I was a social worker working with abused and neglected children for $58,000 a year. And I loved my job, dude. Like, I loved it.
Right.
But then I got to a point where I'm like, I want to provide more for my kids. I want to do more with the community. I want to give back. So the balance is, you have to decide what the balance is.
Yeah.
Some people, money doesn't matter to them at all. And when people hate on them, that's like, I had a guy say, if you don't make a certain amount of money, then you're this and that and the other thing. I'm like, well, first of all, would you say that to my face or somebody else's face? Because when I was making 80 grand a year, that bitch that said that, I'd still knock his teeth down his throat. Yeah. And he'd be spitting them out like bloody chickens. Seriously, he'd choke on them.
Yeah.
So I'd have kicked his ass when I was making 60 grand a year. I'll kick his ass now.
Right.
Don't talk about people like that. So you figure out what you want to do, man.
Yeah.
If you love what you're doing and you're making enough money to get by, Who cares what people think?
Right.
It shouldn't matter to you.
Right.
That's the problem, dude.
Yeah.
What does it matter?
Right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And you brought up how you didn't start making $1 million a year until you were in your 40s.
Correct.
Everybody, they want it overnight. They want to get rich quick. How important was it to have that delayed gratification for you as opposed to, wanting it instantaneously like everybody else in today's world?
I was building businesses. I was building equity in my businesses. And I sold those businesses for, in excess of $100 million. Like, life's really good, right? But for me, I wasn't trying to make a certain amount of money. I was trying to build real leverage, real equity, real wealth. So I was, and honestly, I thought to myself, in my 20s, if I had made $1 million a year, you know what I'd done? Killed myself, probably. I liked smoking crack. I liked using cocaine. I've been sober 23 years. I like to drink too much. If I made $1 million when I was 22, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be in prison or dead. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, what would I have done with it? And people always say to me, well, if I had this amount of money, I would do this with it for my business. I go, you don't even know what to do with it yet. So number one, if you can go make $1 million a year and you're 18, good for you. But at the end of the day, if you think that everybody you see on social media, dude, I've had people take videos of this plane that I own and say it's theirs. I'll scroll on Instagram, I'm like, dude, that's weird. That's my plane. Yeah. And he'll be like, got my jet. And I'm like, motherfucker, that's my jet. Like, why? But that's how people are. Yeah. And again, perception becomes reality. So it is a grind. Now, let's say you create something. Let's say you're super freaking smart, super creative, and you create an app and it explodes. Good for you, but you're a very small percentage of the population. The majority of us have to go good at sales, service business, do something that's customer centric, and understand how to scale it. And that's what I learned how to do. I was like, let me find service businesses. And again, I could have made $1 million in my 30s. I could have paid myself more for my companies, without a doubt. But I'm like, it came in, I went back in the business. It came in, I went back in the business. I funded the hell out of my businesses. My businesses were eating, thus they were growing. And my competitors, they were just taking all their money and spending it. And I'm like, dude, I got a Honda Accord, but I got tens of millions of dollars in equity over here. Right. Then I have this over here. Delayed gratification was easy for me because I was raised with no money, like none. So when I started making any kind of money, I was like, damn, this is wacky. Like, I have a house. I didn't live in a house. Right. Like, nobody had a house. We lived in apartments. A lot of them were subsidized apartments, like based on your income kind of deal. So for me, man, I think it's a grind, and please don't get frustrated when you don't do it in a year or 2 years or 3 years. And just because somebody drives a nice car don't mean that they have any real net worth in any capacity.
Right. So let me ask you this, a big component of a lot of the businesses that you've been in is sales. Real estate, insurance, sales is crucial. A lot of people struggle with sales in today's world. But what's been your secret to sales? How have you been able to consistently land massive deals with huge clients over all these years? What's your secret to selling in a competitive industry?
You know why most people struggle with sales? Do you know why most people struggle with sales? If I asked you why, what do you think? Why do you think most people struggle with sales?
I don't think they believe in themselves.
That's a good answer, because that's part of it. And then that lack of belief causes them not to work hard. The biggest thing I want to sell people is belief in themselves. I believe in myself. You give me a product, if people need it, and I believe in it, I will sell it. I don't give a shit what it is. It doesn't matter. If you go, sell these shoes, I'd be like, are they good shoes? Damn, I'll sell them. Sell the shirt. I'll sell that shirt off of your back to him. It's no problem, because I believe in me as long as there's a potential customer, right? But people don't want to work hard. And what's the biggest cause of a low self-image and lack of self-belief? Lack of unconditional love. If you take people that grew up with nobody giving them unconditional love, people loved them conditionally. So when you become good at business, people will love you conditionally. Right. They'll love you, like the Detroit Lions just lost last night, and they're going to kill that coach for a whole year. Everything he did during the season, they loved him. But now what he's learning is that was conditional love, bro. Provide for us, we love you. You lose, we hate you. And that's how fast people turn. But it's lack of belief in themselves. But you can build the belief in yourself. The greatest thing for your self-image, by far, is work. That's the greatest thing. So weirdly enough, I became really good at sales because I called more people. I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I wasn't worried about being judged. I breathed life into people. I knew how to make relations with people. I knew the psychology. Like right now, you're thinking about what I'm thinking about what you're thinking. That's the way that it works. Now, you're a thinker, which is good, so it's more challenging for me, but you're not that hard to read because it's who you are. It's what you exude. I understood the psychology of people. And also, I didn't think it was that competitive because most people won't work. See, my deal is I didn't bring anything to the table but my work ethic. And I'll tell you what, the deals I've gotten, like some of these big distribution deals, I've sold my work ethic. When we launched a life insurance deal, the guy said to me, I was trying to get an insurance company to work with me. One, like anybody. Dude flew in from Texas. I'd done some research on him. His dad was a high school football coach, very successful. And we started talking. And he gave me the 27 reasons why he shouldn't work with me. no experience, don't have the capital to back it up, all of these other things. And I was working with somebody else, and then when you work at a company, you get good and you leave, they want to sue you. I've been sued tons of times, and I could care less. I just sue people back, no matter to me at all. But I said to him, I looked at him, I said, what I have to sell you is my work ethic, and I will outwork mother freaking everybody. And that's the beauty of it. And the reason I've been good at creating good salespeople is a lot of people you'll talk to, a lot of people I talk to that are good at anything, they'll tell you how good they are. Dude, if you can be a mirror instead of a window, somebody says something good about you, put it on to somebody else. And that's how I've always been. Like, and I want people to say, when I built sales organizations, I go to all the top people and I go, hey, James, can anybody do what you're doing? Hey, Derek, hey, Andrew, can anybody do what you're doing? And if they go, no, and they start telling me how they're special, I don't let them train. I don't let them talk to anybody, because their ego will get everybody else to go, like, that's why they're good. Oh, I get it. That's why they're good. Like, athletics takes talent. Like, when I could throw a baseball, I've been hard for you. I could throw a baseball. Like, I was good at it. I could tackle. But then to play at another level, you have to have certain, you don't have to have a skill set in business. Business literally doesn't discriminate. You don't have to have any skill set. You're a good salesperson. So anybody can be a good salesperson. But most people are terrified of what people are going to think about them. And back to what you said, which is, you're right, is lack of belief in themselves. How do they create? People said to me, well, how do I help my self-image? I'm like, I have a great book for you to read about it. You got a pen, write the title. You got a phone? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you got the title? It's W-O-R-K. Go to work. And the more you work and the more you grind and the more you go through stuff, the better you become. And then your self-image grows. And for me, I want people to grow their self-image. I want people to be interviewed, if it's what you want, I want them interviewing you one day. And not in the near future, like, dude, how did you do this? Then I want you to tell them everything you did and not keep any of it to yourself. Yeah. That's the magic, dude. That's why I've been really good at sales.
Beautiful answer. We're about to get right back to the interview with Sean, but I've got a question for you guys. Are you enjoying this interview that I'm doing with Sean right now? Well, if you are, you will have the ability to hop on a live call I'm hosting with Sean this Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time inside of the private community we just launched called the School of Mentors. And inside of our private entrepreneur community, I'm hosting live calls every single week with the millionaires and the billionaires you see us interview on this channel. You'll be able to ask them questions about your career, your life, and your business. You're also going to get access to exclusive networking with like-minded people, as well as exclusive content and masterclasses I've been filming with the most successful entrepreneurs in the entire world. You do not want to miss out on the opportunity to join the School of Mentors, because it is currently $30 a month for the first 1,000 members that join, but it's filling up very fast. So be one of the first to join, and I can't wait to see you on the inside of the School of Mentors. With that being said, let's get back to the interview. I wanted to ask you, like, what's the significance and the importance of being able to sell yourself in business as opposed to just having great products and services? Because you take a guy like Elon Musk, he can walk into any company and land a $50 billion deal. So how important for you has it been being able to sell yourself in business beyond just the great products and services that you may have to offer?
Let's take, I mean, listen, he's Elon Musk, right? But the dude figured out what he's great at. And I don't know him, so I don't hear him talk a lot, but I've never heard him talk about stuff he doesn't know. Like, stay in your lane. So for me, I've always, because that's such a great question, I've always sold what I'm good at. And a lot of people sell themselves, and dude, nobody's good at everything. And there's also a lot of brilliance in telling people what you can't do, because that's humility. So when I'm selling myself, I want to sell how confident I am, because I am. But I'm also selling you on the fact that I have humility, because you can't have a big business and a big ego. No, this guy did. Well, if he built a product, but it's hard to create distribution, get people to follow you, do something that's duplicatable if you think you're better than everybody. I always tell people, when I started making money, my friends are like, yo, you think you're better than us, behind my back, obviously. And I'd be like, I don't think I'm better than you. I just want more out of life than you. I'm not any better than you. Hey, sadly enough, you could do exactly what I'm doing. You choose not to. I'm not mad at you, bro. Don't be mad at me. I just choose that I want more. So you have to, because the products, listen, the products are the products. In any industry, dude, they're all pretty similar. I love people like, I'm in life insurance. Yes, me too. It's actuarial science. You have these conditions, you're more apt to die. They run the numbers, they give you a product. There's some variations of the product, don't get me wrong, but it's real estate. Waste management, we picked up dumpsters, trash cans, we charge about the same. People go, your service is better. What, I picked the trash can up better? You're telling me my service is better because my truck picks it up and dumps it better, and we drive it away and don't dump it on your yard. Doesn't everybody do the exact same thing? But I had to sell me as a person and me and who I am and the things I do. That's why, like, one of the things I started doing 20 years ago, every morning I change my voicemail. Every morning. I go on, not with some system, no AI. I change it, my voice, and people are like, why do you do that? I'm like, I told every one of my clients, if you call me in sales, and these are simple things you teach people to build their self-image. In sales, come selling me. If you call me and I don't call you back in 24 hours, so if you and I exchange numbers, okay, which we will, because I like you, okay, and even if you don't want to give it to me, I'll get it from him, okay, and then I'll call you. If you call me ever or message me and I don't get back to you in 24 hours, just call my man Caesar when we met and report me dead, because I'm dead. And then he'll figure out who can get the answer to you. But hey, Andrew, because I'm dead, because I return every phone call and message within 24 hours. And you teach people things that are simple, which, and by the way, that's an anomaly nowadays. It's an anomaly. Work hard. That's an anomaly. Do what you say you're going to do. You know what people are, what's the number one fear? What are clients' number one fear? In any industry, what's their number one fear?
That you're not going to be a man of your word.
You're going to lie to them.
Right.
You're going to lie to them. I mean, it's a nice way to say it. It's very politically correct. That you're going to freaking lie. And they want to believe that you're not going to lie. So I teach everybody when I start selling something, let me tell you something. Because what you want from your client, just like when you're selling yourself, is you want to be brutally honest. You want to interrogate people's reality, right? So I go, hey man, listen, the one thing I need your approval on before we get started is no matter what happens, I won't lie to you. But are you allowing me to be honest with you? As long as I'm being honest, am I willing to say anything I can about the product, what it means for your family, what it'll mean if you don't get it? Are you giving me the permission, your permission to be honest with you? You're going to say yes. And then boom, it makes people feel better, because now it's like when I tell you it costs $720 a month for your product. Why? Because you had 2 heart attacks and cancer. I love you, bro, but I'm not the one that, like, so it allows people to live in the truth and then deliver the information without being like, oh my God, what am I gonna, what if, when I went and bid my first deal, I told the guy we would do $1 billion in 10 years. We hadn't sold the policy. $1 billion. We just finished our 10th year. We didn't do $1 billion. We're just shy of 800 million, which was still obnoxious. Like, it's obnoxious, but that was my goal. And I say to him all the time, do you believe me? He's like, dude, I didn't think you'd do 50 million. Nobody does 50 million, let alone 750 million. Yeah. But I wanted him to know I do believe in me, and I'm willing to do everything that I can to get there. And then all you got to do is show people. Do things that you don't have to do. That's how you build relationships. The currency is everything I don't have to do. If you and I are working together, the things I have to do, I don't get any currency for that. You're like, well, he agreed that they're going to pay me. They paid me. He ate lunch with me, like that. But if I start going like, I'll travel to you, I'll meet you here, call me at midnight, whatever you need, and you start doing those things for people that you don't have to do. Like when somebody holds a door for you, I mean, like, dude, you're not supposed to slam it in my face. Oh, thanks a lot, man. You know, but it's when you start accumulating those things, that's how you sell yourself. And dude, it's not egotistical. I always tell people, if you can back it up, it ain't bragging. When I tell you I'll outwork everybody, that's not bragging, because I will. If Christian McCaffrey says, I'm the best running back in the NFL, and he is, that ain't bragging, dude. He can back it up. Yeah. You know, so I think, and find the things about you that are great. We all have them. And don't hate on yourself so much. Everybody's like, you need to be harder on yourself. It's like, dude, people are pretty hard on themselves already. Yeah. I don't know if that's helping you. You're beating yourself down. Then you become like this martyr. Here's why I can't do it. Here's why I messed up. The guy said to me the other day, he's like, well, one of my problems, I drink too much and I just love to drink. I go, well, I can help you. You can stop drinking. Yeah. Wow. Like, I've done it, dude. It's a pain in the ass. You won't sleep for a while. It will be annoying, but you can do it. Start taking accountability for yourself. Right. That's the best characteristic in sales, is being accountable.
Yeah. Now, throughout your career, you've generated and sold hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars in revenue throughout your career. But throughout your career, like, what has been the most amount of money that you've ever made in a single year?
Oh, God. I mean, if you take when I've sold companies, obnoxious, tens of millions of dollars immediately. And then when you start to make money, it's because the way I've structured them is, you know, you get cash, you get stock, you get earnouts. But, dude, like, I never thought I was going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. That's obnoxious. And it was never my goal. Like, it's a great question for people to understand. It was never my goal. And I never knew that you could take, because I never had any money. Growing up, I didn't have any money. Like, through my 20s, I was making enough money. I started doing some real estate. I started making money. I was pouring it all back in, but I was making money. And I saw some pretty big checks. Like, I did some subdivisions. I was like, they're going to give me $1.6 million for that deal. Like, okay, done. And I've flipped houses where I've made a couple $1 million. Like, boom, real fast, right? Then you pay your tax to figure out what your deal is. But when I started making really good money and went to, like, really big brokerages and started interviewing them and realized what I could do if you have $100 million of what you can do with it, and here's my equities, and here's my tax-free bonds, and here's the thing, here's the income I can spit out, yet my pile still remains the same. It's really blown me away what you can do for your family and how secure your income can be as long as you're intelligent with it. But I mean, honestly, probably more than I deserve.
Yeah.
You know, the bigger deal is how much are we giving away. I mean, I remember the first year I gave away $1 million a year. That was super awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's been really cool because you look at all the people, and I do believe I ain't preaching to nobody. Okay, I don't apologize for having faith. I don't believe I got here by accident. But I do know that whatever you believe in, the better things you do with your money, the more you make. So even if some of those guys don't, like some of them you're talking about Elon Musk, those guys give away a lot of money. Lots of money. You go, they're just great people. Yeah, or they understand the rule. I'm not saying they're not great people, but they also kind of like understand that multiplication process.
Yeah. At one of your businesses, like what was the most that you made in a single year? Like from like one company, like, and that's like in terms of like revenue, like everything.
Oh, man, the best year I've had was last year, and we did 752 million in rev for the year in 23.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I wouldn't lie to you.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
so,
it's amazing.
As a multiple 9-figure entrepreneur, what has been the best financial advice that you ever received? If there's a lesson about money that a mentor or somebody in your career taught you that always stuck with you, what's that advice that you pass on to the younger generation?
You know who Arthur Blank is?
Very familiar.
Okay. He, I was at a meeting probably, God, maybe 14 years ago. And I was making some money and trying to figure some stuff out. And it was funny because there was only about 10 people there. And I paid to go, you know. And he asked me if anybody had any questions. And what's weird about people is they don't have no questions. Dude, if you leave me in a room with somebody doing better than me, I will ask them questions for like literally until they have to tell me to shut up. Like they have to be like, hey dude, like I'm not mad at you, but I want to eat, or you're kind of annoying me, or I gotta take a phone call because I won't stop. Okay? So I'm asking him some questions, and he's answering. Nobody else is asking questions. And I said, sir, if you could give me one advice on why you're able, because at the time we were talking about Home Depot. Why are you able to launch Home Depot into such an amazing company? And he said, absolutely. He said, first of all, every business opportunity I looked at, I made sure that I always fed my business, right? I didn't want to starve it. He said in Home Depot, while I knew we were going to have very small margins, and I knew it would take a while to make money, once we started making money, a little bit of a lot would have been like more than enough. We'd had no problem. So he started talking about that concept. And I started listening. He was talking about the patience in the first deals and the couple guys that were in that wanted their money back because they didn't make money right away. And I started to learn patience from a lot of these guys. And then I had a guy who's a billionaire 10, 12 times over. And he said, take every business opportunity, approach it like a three-legged stool. I said, okay, what does that mean? He said, every business you run, make sure every decision you make, any decision you're making, has to be great for your client or your consumer. Cool. So let's take life insurance. Great products, great for the client, right? Waste management, great service, good pricing, the whole deal, right? Same thing with real estate. Second, it has to be great for your agent or your employee, your independent contractor, your consultant. Okay, I said, what's third? He said, it can't harm the company. He said, but that'll take patience because most people run their business where they make every decision that's great for them. Whatever scraps are left, but they don't tend to be sustainable because other guys are doing it your way. Now, in the life insurance deal, even though we did that kind of rev last year, dude, the first 3 years, I wasn't paying myself a lot. And a lot of people get into business to get rich right away. I got into business to get free, and I knew eventually I'd become wealthy. Rich, you could say you make 400 grand a year, you're rich. I wanted to not worry about money. I wanted to be able to do things I want to do in my life, some relatively extravagant things, and I wanted to not worry about money. But that three-legged stool approach is the best, and a little bit of a lot becomes more than enough because any business you're in, like when I launched my waste management company, there were huge companies in New England. I was in New England my whole life until 4 years ago. And my buddy said, you're never going to crack in. They have way too big a presence. I said, give me the pricing on all of them, give me the territories, and let's analyze it. And then we started analyzing. I said, okay, well, let's be clear. We can have better pricing, but there's certain things we can't do. Like, we can only work in this 20-mile rate. Like, we can't go further out. It's too expensive for us. Like, there's things we can do. We can be competitive and sell our clients on better price, better service. And the guy said, well, we won't make any money first. I said, I understand that. Insurance is very high early on. We had to wait our time. But guess what? When the expenses started coming down and the income continued to grow up and the base of clients continued to grow, and it was all homeowners, which were credit cards, and I wasn't chasing contractors for money, and I wasn't going too far, my pricing was better. And I was willing to make less, and I had other business opportunities as well. So that's been the best business lesson I've ever learned, because most people get into business, and after about 60, 90, 120 days, 2 years, they're frustrated. You know, everybody used to always say, what's the first rule of business? Stay in business. First couple of years, but everybody says it's a grind until they're in it. And then they're like, I can't buy that $400,000 car. And it's like, okay, Tommy, welcome to the real world. or my mom or my spouse, my husband, my wife, you know, and I'm always like, dude, I don't know. I ran my business. I didn't take it. I ran my business. I ran it. I took business advice from people that were in a better place than me, but personally, anybody around me that was talking, I wasn't listening to nothing. Those were my decisions to make. I didn't stop and go, what do you think I should spend money on? What do you think? Is this okay? Hey, Mom, I know I've been doing this on my own since I was 14. I was wondering, what's your opinion of my business now? Hey, so-and-so. Absolutely not. I mean, if people are weighing you down, dude, you get the anchor off. Like, if you're a good swimmer, if you can't swim and you jump in the water, I will jump in to help you. The minute you grab me, and I think you're bringing me down, I'm going to punch you in the face as hard as I can. I'm going to swim back to safety. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to call 911. And then what happened? I'm like, I jumped in to help him, and he started trying to drown me too. I'm out. So I will help you, but the minute you're trying to drown me, dude, I'm out. And I cut it, and I'm really, so that's the best business advice I've gotten, and that's the best way to navigate it. But most people, dude, that business advice is in my veins. And when it's been hard, like, you're in it for 3 years, you're doing all this gross revenue, you're like, where's my money? Why am I not making? But I never thought that way. There were people, tons of people at the companies I was running that were making more money than me the first couple years. But it's a long game, dude. Yeah. I was building significant equity. I was funding my businesses. A little bit of a lot was becoming a lot. And every decision I make, great for client, great for agent, employee, customer, and then couldn't harm me.
There's a great saying in business that if you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. Now, you've been able to successfully grow and scale multiple 9-figure businesses. What's been your secret to scaling? Like, how have you been able to take businesses from 7 to 8, eventually 9 and 10 figures? Like, what's the secret to scaling a business? How have you been able to do it over all these years?
Like, if you wanted to make the most money on your money, the key would be never to lose, right? Like, in any given year, don't lose. If I said, hey, man, 10 years from now, you'd be like, dude, as long as I don't lose in a year, I can make 7% this year, 2% this year, but I don't have those swings. I never went backwards. And my commitment to myself and the team was, first of all, everybody that was employed or working with us, working with me, had the same goal as me. Any money they were making was contingent upon the company growing. Anything, it wasn't like, hey, Tom, you'll get this after a year, you get this. It was like, no, guys, here's our rev, here's our gross, here's our net. We grow at this percentage, you'll make this much more, you'll make this much more. And I was willing to share a lot of it with the people around me with the understanding that we don't go backwards. Like last company I sold, they brought me in, the board was there, they're asking, they're like, what's your goal this year? I'm like, double. And they're like, you're going to double. I'm like, oh, we'll double or die. Like, I'm doubling. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being serious. Like, and I think for me, I have that, if you don't take a step backwards, it's like, did you play football?
I never played football.
Okay. If, like, you play linebacker, you don't go backwards. Like, right. You go laterally, but you're lateral forward. You don't just, this is your cover. In a run play, you're going forward. Like, everything is, and it's like, as long as you don't go backwards, you got a shot. You can't give an inch. And there are times in business where I'm like, God, but I just kept moving. And again, sometimes it was move fast and break things. Like, I really didn't know. And then empowering good people to be great. I surrounded myself with people that started to believe in themselves. And then I told them how great they were, because they were. And then I didn't steal all the credit. The reason most companies starve is not money, it's credit. You run it and you're egotistical. My man works there. Now he feels like nothing because you take all the credit. Then I work there, I get no credit. These guys all work here. For me, every ounce of credit, if somebody go to me, hey man, you all did $750 million last year. You're great. I go, I have great people. I have great people. Matter of fact, let me let you meet a couple of them. They're great people. Because you don't build second levels and third levels of leadership because people are so full of themselves. And if you're brilliant, like, let's be honest, Elon Musk can be that way if he wants to. Because he's effing brilliant, dude. He's just brilliant. He just looks at something and he can put you on a different planet. I can't. Most of us can't. And I recognize that about myself. So for me, I'm always trying to build additional leaders that are bought into the plan where we're doing it together. When people say, you know, it's always we. You have a great company. No, we have a great company. When you launched it, when we launched it, y'all, you killed it, Sean. No, we killed it. We're in this together. Hey, and by the way, what that means too is if you're getting the credit when it's going well, you're gonna take the blame when it's going. Like, that's part of your business. If you're running an agency with 200 people, and I take the credit when it's going good, that means I better take the blame when it goes bad. Yeah. And I'm not gonna take the blame. I'm not gonna take the credit, nor am I gonna take the blame. And it's a very fair deal. And also interrogate reality with people. I interrogate your reality. If you're doing well, I'm gonna tell you you're doing well. If you're not doing well, I'm gonna be honest with you about it. I want you to be honest with me if I'm not doing well. Like, we're gonna be a bunch of grown-ups, so we're gonna talk about it like it's a locker room, and we all want to win. Because right now, it's like if you talk to guys that, we have a bunch of guys that work with me that were in the league, that play in the NFL. And I always ask them, what's the single biggest thing, like when you got drafted and you finally got into a preseason game, and every one of them was like, dude, just the older dudes letting us know, this is real now. This is how we feed our families. Like, don't F it up. Like, no, now there's NIL with college, I get it, but back in the day there was no money. And now all of a sudden this is an adult game. If you work at my company, I'm responsible for what you're doing, just like you are with me. And it's not a game. And what happens to most people is they get into business with people they know, people they like, right? Like, y'all work together, you look like you like each other, you got your brothers involved. Familiarity always breeds contempt. So I find a way to keep people, I love them, I respect them, I want to be, but it's business first. Yeah. I start answering the phone all the time, what's up? Because my friends at work with me would call me. Why? They want to talk. And I'd be like, hey, and I start telling them, like, dude, what am I doing? So finally I was like, what's up? And they started pushing back, like, oh man, well, nice to talk to you too. I'm like, dude, what's up? Yeah. I'm busy. I'm not mad at you. We got a company to grow. Right. We'll hang out and have a lot of fun in the future. Right now, what's up means what's mother effing up. Yeah. Make sense?
Yeah, I love that. Another thing I wanted to ask you about, right? I love the quote. It says, I'd much rather have a slice of the pie or a slice of the watermelon than 100% of the grape. And a lot of people, they want to be that solopreneur, wear all the hats themselves. How important was it for you as a business owner to learn how to delegate and bring in the right people?
Dude, probably the biggest mistake I made early on was trying to be all things. And it wasn't like I was doing pretty good, and I figure, hell, I got a handle on this. I'll never forget when I had a company. I first started talking about looking at selling, and they called me up and they said, well, can you have all your C-level executives there? First of all, I didn't know what C-level executives meant. And when I don't know something, I ask. The dumbest people in the world are people that somebody says something and they go, it would be dumb for me to ask, right? I don't know what that means. No, it's dumb for you not to ask. Like, no, but that's weird, right? Be transparent. So I was like, what does that mean? And she was super nice. She was, I guess, the admin to the CEO. She goes, well, all of your C-level executives. I'm like, ma'am, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't know what you mean. She's like, CEO, CFO, COO, CTO. And I'm like, oh, okay, got it. It'll just be me. And I never forget when I started meeting with people, like, dude, you're wearing way too many hats. Like you can't wear this many. It's not about the work. You can't possibly be wearing this many. You're not even skilled enough. You might be good in the CEO role, but not the CFO role or the CO. And I sure as hell was not qualified to be in a technology role. So I learned to delegate really fast because I'm a good student. Like, once I realized, damn, I suck at that, I got to fix it. So once that happened to me after a couple companies, I started immediately looking inside, going, okay, he's good with tech. Let me bring him on from the outside. Cool, you're my CTO. Got it. He's really good. Okay, he's the head back. All right, you're my CFO. So I started surrounding and it didn't mean I needed to pay them all astronomical amount of money. It was just getting them to delegate things because that freed me up to do what I'm good at. And I think that's what I learned is when you're bogged down with all these things, you can't possibly be great at all of them. You know what I mean? I'm really, really good at getting people to sell and talking to them and motivating them and inspiring them and handling crisis, like all those things. But, dude, for me to sit down, look at spreadsheets and pretend I'm a CFO, not my thing. I'll do it. Don't love it. But I'd rather have an objective guy go, hey, and we talk, once a week. He's like, here's what you got. Here's where we're going. It's made my life so much easier. So now I can go be great at what I'm doing. You'd be like, you're a great football player. You're not going to go play tennis. You're like, dude, what am I doing over here? Like, I'm great at this. So that... please don't try to wear too many hats. And there's a lot, and I was willing to spend the money. It wasn't like I was afraid to spend the money. I just had never built anything like that. So I was like, do I really need these people? And I have my vision. And what I learned was my vision was still my vision. What this guy was doing was he was handling the numbers. This guy was bringing me tech that helped me with my vision. Because I believed in my vision because we were growing like crazy. So I don't want to mess with my vision. So it was like, wait a minute, I can just delegate to them and they want to help build it. And by the way, sometimes they have ideas about the vision. I used to be so stupid that I would say, the new idea department is closed, don't bring me any ideas. Like, straight up across the board. Now, when you're in crisis mode, that's okay. Like, if you and I are launching a business, we've been in it for 6 weeks, we're just trying to stay afloat, we don't need new ideas half the day. We need to go sell something, make some money. But I just was really used to, like, I got to move. And I had a guy that been very successful. He said to me, Sean, it has to be a democracy until things are going bad. It can become a dictatorship for a minute. When it's going bad, like run this plane. If it's going bad, I expect the pilot to go, here's what you need to do, here's what's going to happen, talk to you soon. I go, ain't a democracy, I'm not a pilot. But if we're just BS and we're flying around, we're talking, he don't need to be ordering me around. He don't order me around anyway. But I want him to order me around if there's a problem, right? So for me, I had to really learn that dude, there's a lot of people with a lot of good ideas. And and having these teams now, where now it used to be staff meeting was me, everything was me, and selling companies and seeing the way they're structured when they get massive, and that's part of why I did some of the deals. It was kind of like, I've taken this as far as I can take it, but weirdly enough, in real estate, waste management, I probably could have brought that infrastructure in and continued to scale the hell out of it. And that's okay, I'm glad I did. But in life insurance, I learned, I partnered with a company that had all that infrastructure. And then just, I mean, we grew, oh my God, 700% in a couple of years, because they had the infrastructure, you know, and had all those executives. So most people try to wear all those hats, and nobody can wear them all. Yeah.
Now, have you ever been broke before?
Oh God, yeah, dude. I was so when I graduated college, I used to party a lot. I went to the police academy. We want to be a cop. My buddy Mike took the exam, and I was like, dude, I've been arrested like 8 times for fighting dudes and drinking and drugs. There's no way, and they hired me, which is mind-boggling. And then, so I was making no money. And then I left there, or they were like, dude, this is going to be a bad idea. I actually tackled the guy, and he was not the guy that I was supposed to be tackling. It was a victim running from the perpetrator, which is not my fault, because he shouldn't have been running like a grown man, but I tackled him, and they're like, dude, we're probably going to fire you. And they did. And then I took a job working with abused and neglected children. Dude, I was grinding, man. I was in real estate, a couple young kids. I filed bankruptcy when I was young. I got a real estate when I was like 18, 19. Bought a house and didn't really know what I was doing. I filed bankruptcy. My son, I remember he needed like special formula, and it was hard. I mean, it was just even trying to be able to pay for that. Dude, I was broke, and I was raised with absolutely no money, like none. My mentorship early on was coaches of kids in the towns around me that did better than me, because their dads, a lot of them were athletes. They wanted to coach. They wanted me to play because I was pretty good. So like they wanted me to help their kid win, and then I could ask them a bunch of advice. I was broke as hell. I mean, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, me, my mom, my brother. She raised us by herself, worked 3 jobs, you know, no education. And through my 20s, dude, it was a grind. I mean, and it was, there were times where I'm like, dude, there's just got to be a better way. Where, when my daughter was born and where we lived, I mean, there was, you know, dude came to my house one night, tried to break in. Thank God he didn't, because I was about to shoot him. You know, I'd come out with my gun, and I you know, who knows, it was Connecticut. I'd probably still be in jail, even though he was trying to break in my house. And people were fighting all the time, breaking shit. I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of here. So yeah, man, I spent a good amount of my life, and I was broke from the day I was born till I left my mom's apartment. I was still broke for the next probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then I got tired of it, dude, and I just put enough work in where things started to happen.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, because you hear the saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. For somebody who may be stuck in that cycle of poverty right now, what is an actionable step that somebody could take to really break out of that? Like you said, you've been at rock bottom before. Yeah. For somebody there right now, what's an actionable step somebody could take to escape the cycle of poverty?
Well, first of all, dude, the poor, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's what people want you to believe. First of all, if you're not where you want to be, don't talk to anybody that ain't where you want to be. You know, and the reality is capitalism works because the majority of people think they can't make any money. That's why it works. Fear sells, good and bad. It sells. So first of all, don't be afraid, right? Because that's where and if you get to be around people that make money, the greatest gift I got was to get around people that are making money. You know what I found out about them? They're not that smart. They're not. Like, I don't care. I see a lot of people, I meet them too. You meet them, you interview them, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't want him on my team if it was an academic event. He ain't that smart. But guess what? He's successful. So if it's not intellectual capacity, and it doesn't matter who your mom or dad was, now at some point in time in your family, you got to break the mold. My desire, honestly, dude, was I wanted to be somebody in my family that was like, you know what? We don't have to live this way. We do not have, if we don't want it, we don't have to live this way. I'm tired of everybody telling us that we have to stay broke. Be careful. If it was so easy, everybody would do it. It's too good to be true. People told me all the time, there's no way people make that kind of money. That's complete bullshit. It's too good to be true. I'm like, and I just didn't listen to anybody. So it's a myth. If you here's what I know, the greatest equalizer is sales, because anybody can do it. Find a product that you love and work your ass off selling it. Get really good at selling it, and then find other people you can teach to sell it. And then when you can find those people and teach them to teach other people to recruit people and sell it, I don't care what the product is. I don't care if it's a new product, you just start an agency, you start an organization, you start a business, but it's the greatest equalizer. And that's what I found. What can I do? Well, I don't have a lot of money growing up. Okay, so I can't invest in business. I don't have any money. Man, I really don't have a lot of business acumen. I really don't know a lot of people either. So wait a minute. When I started watching sales, I kept hearing people say, sales is the highest paid occupation in America. I've been hearing that for 30 years. I'm like, okay, so why don't I participate in the highest paid occupation and then fund businesses? And then I was like, wait a minute, in the highest paid occupation, I can sell and build a business in that, because you know what? While sales is not a skill set, most people don't want to work hard. So I found the people that had distribution, or the people that were already really wealthy, they needed me. They needed me to sell. They weren't going to go sell. They weren't going to grind. They couldn't teach people to sell. And they couldn't connect with a lot of people like me, blue-collar people, that they wanted to sell their products. So they needed me. And I also understood that people were going to use you. And I'm cool with that. Like, that sounds weird to people. People are like, man, I'm glad he was your mentor growing up. I'm like, dude, he's my mentor because his kid sucked. And he wanted me on his travel team. Oh, that was really nice that he bought your, paid for you to travel to Maine to play. I'm like, he did it because I'm good. I hit third, I pitch every game. I'm not trying to be an ass, but like, he was using me. And I was perfectly fine with that. My football coach did it. I was totally good with it. And the minute I was done playing for them, those mentorship things stopped. I was fine with that. I wasn't like all in my feelings, man. I was using them too. I will go play hard. I will be more respectful. I won't cuss you out during the game because I want your knowledge. I don't need you to help me. Like, I ain't going to play professional baseball 15 years. I ain't going to play in the NFL. I'm slow as shit. I was slow then. I'm slower now. I ain't playing in the NFL. But I knew that about me. But I'm like, I'm pretty good at this level. I can play in college. Life is good. And I think along your journey, it's finding people, because guess what? Let's say you're a really good salesperson. You can connect with the highest people at the company. You can get their mentorship. You can ask questions because you have a value add. And they're going to use you, and let them do it. And it's okay. And they're not your best friends. I have people that are really friendly with me, and I'm their number one distributor, and then I go do something else or work with them, and all of a sudden, like, and people are like, I thought you were really close with him. And I'm like, dude, what are you, 5 years old? Like, we're not in the Boy Scouts together. He runs a massive company. He's worth a bunch of money, and we talk. And now that I'm doing business over here, he's good. But along the way, you need to accumulate those relationships and get the most out of them while you have them. But this idea that you can't make money because of where you're born or who your family was or what you look like, that's bullshit. Yeah. And if you're perpetuating that, that's your weakness. And you should believe in yourself, because also, I wanted to show my mom. I wanted my mom, because everybody around me told me, I wanted to show, my mom to this day can't understand it. When I told my mom I was leaving my job as a social worker, she like literally was like, well, I thought you would be sober forever. I'm like, I am sober. She's like, are you sure you're okay? Nobody leaves a state job. I'm like, yeah, I want to go I just would be really careful out there because it's not what you think it is. I'm like, and I'm not mad at her, but I was like, I'm not listening to her. Why am I taking advice from her? And you could take one hand and count the amount of people in your life that will pull for you if it doesn't benefit them. It's not many. You don't need both hands. You probably don't need all 5 fingers. And it's okay as long as you know that going into it. People will cheer and pull for you when you're doing things that benefit them. And then when you're not, they're probably not gonna. But what if you cheer enough for you? What if you do? And what if you find 1 or 2 or 3 people? That's enough, dude. That's a quorum. Now you can go to work. So don't buy into that, dude. And I think that's changing in America. Actually, I think if you look over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years and see the people where they are from an income level now, because, I was with Damon John doing a podcast, and he says the first generation creates it, second generation enjoys it, third generation destroys it. And we're on a lot of this third, like where I live, there's a lot of this third generation taking these houses over. They can't keep them. They can't afford taxes. There's no mortgage on them, but the taxes where I live on the water are obnoxious, and they just can't afford it. And it's like they're looking around like, what do I do? And there's a lot of that first generation, like I was. I don't know your all situation, but everybody, like, there's a lot of those folks that are going like, I'm going to get my piece now of the American dream. And it's the greatest country as far as opportunity goes in the world, dude. And anybody that says that's not true is a liar.
Right. When it comes to the way that people look at money, what would you say is the number one thing that separates the middle class from those who are able to build that long-term generational wealth like yourself, right? Like, what is it, in your opinion, when you look at people and how they perceive and look at money, what is it that really separates middle class from wealthy?
It's learned behavior, right? Like, so the way I was raised, I think the way a lot of people are raised is you get a good job. It's always like, get a good job. And then you put some money away, right? You put it in a 401k. Like, I was 18, they wanted me to put money in a 401k at 18. I said, so I can't touch that money until I'm 59 and a half without penalty. I'm 18 years of age. This is 18. I'm like, you're telling me that you want me to give you money that y'all get to make money on, and then if in the next 41 and a half years I want to use it to create more wealth for me, you're going to smoke me and take a huge percentage of it. Like, But people do it because we're sheep. We like, let's learn behavior, get a good job, put money in your 401k, do this over here. Debt's bad. Debt's not bad. But here, one more person, and again, it always makes me laugh. These guys will go online, tell you debt's bad, and then charge you to be in a course to continue to tell you debt's bad and help you financially plan. Get a piece of paper and here's your budget, spend this much money. They scare you into, greatest thing ever happened to me in business, going bankrupt. Greatest thing. The greatest thing ever taught me is the best lesson. I didn't have a lot to discharge in. Best lesson I ever learned. It hurt. It made me focus. I paid attention. And immediately what I thought about was I got to get back to building my credit so I can borrow money. And a year and a half later, I went to a local bank, got $1 million line of credit. Boom, $1 million. Build a subdivision. Then I was borrowing 2, 3, 5, 10. I was borrowing money at interest rates of 14, 15% in the 80s and 90s. Okay, late 80s, 90s, right? And I was borrowing hard money. You know what hard money is? Okay, so hard money is an old school saying. When you couldn't, you still hear people say it now, but it's like you couldn't go to a traditional bank. Okay, you want to do a project. You're an real estate investor, and you're like, man, I can't find the bank's not going to give me the money. I go, hey, bro, I'll do it. I'll give you $200,000. I'll charge you 12% interest, which is obnoxious, right? Then you'll pay me points. You know how points work?
Credit card points.
Okay, so like it's a percent every way. Right. So if it's 5, so I'm like, okay, you're going to pay me 10 points every 6 months. By the time you pay me back, I made a boatload of money, but I borrowed hard money all the time because I knew I could. People that understand money know the value of what they can do to make money with the money. And people that are broke mindset think that they're just supposed to make enough money to live on, get a vacation once a year, and then die one day, and their headstone says, there lies Tom, good bill payer. There's Tom, good bill payer. Tom did everything he was supposed to do. He worked his job, 401k. Then what's the number one fear of seniors nowadays? Outliving their money, they say. I was reading a study the other time about that. They're terrified to outlive. Think about that. You're scared to be in good health because people are in better health nowadays. Like somebody said to me, why are you so focused on being in good health? I'm like, dude, I make money. Like I want to live as long as I can. I'm not terrified that I can't pay my bills. That's what scared me when I got into life insurance. Started seeing all these people that were in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and they're broke as hell. And I'm like, dude, and they were like, had jobs. They did what everybody told them to do. They got a good job. They put the kids through school. They had a bunch of debt. They had a credit card. They never understood the power of leveraging money. Me, I was never afraid of that. I was dying to get it. I was dying to take my money and make money with it. You know, when I've done some of these deals, people are like, there's ways you can like take this and then you get an LOA and you pay your taxes, but you didn't really, and then it's their money, and then you're like, okay, well they charged me 3%, but I'm making 8%, and it's their money and it wasn't out of my account, and like I borrowed the money. Debt is really good. I'll tell everybody right now, anybody listening, you want to lend me money? You want to lend me money under 4%? I'll take it. Don't matter to me at all. Just call me up. I'll take it right now. $1 million, 2, 5, 20, 150, because I can, with my eyes closed, make a hell of a lot more money with the money than that. And that's the thing that people that are raised with a broke mindset don't understand. They're terrified of debt, and I'm running to it. When I did that subdivision, when I continue to do that, when I borrowed the money, and you know, it's sad because what sells that? Fear. It's just fear. Like people are like, what about politics? Dude, who cares? You got to take care of you. Something's going to happen. You become proactive, not reactive in your business. But it doesn't matter unless you let it consume you. And also, I'll be honest, the people I grew up with, they're very problem focused. And the successful people I know are solution focused. They love problems. They love it. Like growing up, it's all was on TV. Maury Povich, Jerry Springer. Why? Because it's somebody's bullshit drama. And we love drama. Dude, people making money that are wealthy in time and money, they don't have time for it. They don't like watch that stuff. They don't think it's funny. They don't think it's cool. And they just keep it moving. And they kind of hope that everybody else is watching it because that's who's going to work for them and never want more.
Yeah, I love that. What was the lowest point in your career as a business owner?
Oh, man. There's a lot of them. The lowest point was probably the last, and it's grown to an unbelievable company. Yeah. But we were in business like 7 months. And I had left another company, and that guy had sued me, right? And it was costing a lot of money, but I was working, I was paying it, right? And then the court had entered this order that said we couldn't do what we were doing anymore. Basically, a restraining order, just like you do in like criminal court, like in civil court, temporary restraining order. My attorney called me. I was doing a meeting in Florida at the time, Destin, And my attorney called me like 7 times in a row, and he's not usually like a big 911 panic button pushing guy. So I went outside and called him, and he's like, hey man, it's over. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, it's over. Like, court entered an order, you can't do it anymore. And I was like, and it felt like somebody literally punched me. You're punching stomach. That's exactly what it felt like. Like the wind was knocked out of me. I said, and I literally didn't know what to say. I'm like, I got to go. And immediately, it wasn't like I was gonna be fine financially either way. But I'm like, dude, I have all these people that have joined me. I got like 1,400 people now that are relying on me, both employees and agents, to make We Can't Be out of business. And I went back into the meeting because they were waiting inside for me. It's probably 100 people. Go back in, suck it up, bite my lip, try not to want to punch the wall or cry. Finish the meeting. And then all of a sudden it was like, just like, wait a minute. I called him. I was like, hey, dude, if I violate the order, what happens? He's like, we go to court. I'm like, all right, let's just keep moving. I'll violate the restraining order and I'll see him in court. He's like, okay, I wouldn't suggest that. I'm like, well, I'm not asking your suggestion. You're an attorney. Your advice would be do nothing, obviously. I'm going to go to court. Let's fight it. I don't believe that's valid anyway. Dude, I mean, I don't stop doing anything. They immediately file and say I violated it, which I did. Go to this big federal court in Greensboro, and they're like, well, you know, you might not be able to. They might arrest you. And I was like, what, in federal prison? That'd be like going to like day camp. 4 days, I'd be less stressed than anything. Like, I'm all good. But we went in, the judge went through everything, and he was like, yeah, I don't even know why. Like, and they threw it all out, and we moved on, and you can keep doing what you're doing. But it was because I really felt, and I was like, dude, these people are all going to, like, I can't let them all down. Like, they came over to work with me from all these industries, and some were already in life insurance, and how do I let them down? But this lesson I learned from that was don't take it personally. Because weirdly enough, the dude that sued me, that did everything he could to put me out of business, I talked to that dude. I called him today. He called me. Like, I wasn't happy with what happened, but it's not personal, dude. This is business. Do I like a lot of it? No. But I done it the way I did? No. But you know what? It's just business. But that was a really low point. I've been broke before, but that was the first time in my life that I'm like, I let all these people down. Because being broke on my own, bankruptcy, whatever else, that was on me. But all these other people, that was a low point. And that 8 days from that day to court was painful.
Right. Let me ask you this, because failure is something, it's inevitable in entrepreneurship. A lot of people, they'll fail at one thing and they immediately want to quit, right? For somebody who may be going through that storm in their business right now, what advice would you give to them? You know, when you were ever facing challenges or setbacks, and even today, like, what is your advice to somebody who may be going through that storm right now in their business?
Well, first of all, perspective. You know, I had a guy one day say, if your biggest issue is financial, get down on your hands and knees and thank God. And that's really powerful, right? Or another buddy of mine is much harsher. He said, you know, 155,000 people didn't wake up this morning, so have some respect for yourself. So perspective first. Like, and also, dude, at the end of the day, like, we think it's such a big deal, right, when something happens. Like, we think it's so big. Dude, after about 24 hours, it ain't a big deal at all. So the answer is you can only control what you can control. So right now you're in chaos, and it sucks. You can't believe it. Sit down, get your phone, write it out. What are the things that you can control? Out of the situation that's happening, these are 10 things. Which one? If none of them you can control, you're along for a ride. If you can't control them, then you got to. But there probably are things you can control, but you can't control all of them. Man, I didn't know that customer was going to file that. I didn't know that they were going to cancel that order. Man, I didn't know. Like, I put out 200 grand in my marketing, nobody showed up. Okay. Dude, I was traveling all over the country. Nobody was showing up to meetings. That's how you built it. When you started this, how many people were watching?
Not many.
Not many.
Right.
Did you think it'd be as big as it is?
Got 3 million now.
No, I know how big you are. You're massive. Did you think it would be this big?
Always had that vision.
You hoped it would be this big, or did you think it would be that big?
I never thought it would get to this point.
Okay. Because this is obnoxious.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 million people. How many people live in America?
3 billion or no,
Hundreds of millions.
360 million, something like that, yeah.
Dude, I mean, you get to 36 million. I mean, like, think about the percentage of the population that has seen you.
Right.
The population in like, obviously worldwide, but look at the amount of people that have seen you. But at the end of the day, all you did was kept doing what you could control. And again, there were times that it sucked. There were times I was on, you ever heard of Evan Carmichael?
Yes.
Okay, Evan's a great guy. Evan was reading me his YouTube followers the other day. I had him on my podcast. Which, by the way, you have to get on my podcast now. Because you're a stud.
Yeah.
So I want you to get on. Is it you saying yes, like you're going to do it, or are you debating?
Absolutely.
Okay, good, because I need you on there.
Question.
Okay, so Evan was reading me the YouTube followers. 81, 150. And it's just like, I'm like, what'd you do? He goes, just kept doing what I thought I needed to do. First of all, it's never as bad as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. It's just not. You start getting in your own head, think it's worse than this. Find somebody you can trust. Like, if I'm going through something, I know who I can call. If you're going through something, you should have somebody you can call. right? Boom, I'm wondering what I can do. Like, you should have that. Talk to anybody you know. If you don't know anybody, buckle down, find these things you can control, and don't think about any of the rest of it. And all of a sudden we start thinking about, wonder what he's going to say. I wonder what she's going to say. Dude, who gives a shit what they say? The greatest gift of public speaking is getting up in front of people and not caring what they think. I like you a lot. Like y'all. You're all really good people. I want to do right by you, 100%. But I'm not going to sit around and think about, like, you're 3 million people that watch. I hope that I provide some value.
Absolutely.
But guess what? What do you want me to do? Like, I can only do the best I can do. And somebody's going to go, I don't like it for that reason. Okay, cool. Thanks. But as long as you're resilient to that, so focus on what you can control, get good mentorship, don't worry about everything else flying around you. Everybody's got an opinion. And it's not near as bad as you think it is, because we think it's so bad. And then, I was reading this the other day, and not that I'm a huge, either way, Drake fan or not, but he went through something. He was like, my mom said, give it, like, you're Drake. In 72 hours, nobody cares. Well, if in 72 hours nobody cares for Drake, then about 7.2 seconds, nobody cares if it involves me. You know, so who cares? Like, let's just keep it moving. And by the way, that means you're on the right path. I've been kicked in the stomach thousands of times in my business. Thousands. I was in the waste management business rolling. Like, we were rolling. And then all of a sudden, my guy calls me. He's like, hey, dude, the incinerator burnt to the ground. How's an incinerator burnt? Like, that's where we brought our trash. I was like, well, bring it to another incinerator. He goes, that's the only one in Connecticut. I go, where do we dump it? He's like, the only other place to dump it, all the guys own them. So our competition owns all landfills. I was like, well, that sucks. Start trying to negotiate that. Dude, I didn't know where to dump trash for like a week and a half. Like, that ain't fun. Pick it up. Okay, I'll leave it in the dumpster on the truck. And at some point in time, like, I'll get in trouble if I don't get rid of it. But you know what? Then it was like, I just kept taking a step and go, what can I control? All right, you know, I can negotiate with this guy. This guy won't negotiate with me. Let me negotiate. I don't want to do that, but you know what? And maybe I'll do it for that amount. Man, I'll be losing money, but maybe I can negotiate something in 120 days with them. And then I had to find, then I was like, wait a minute, who do I know that knows one of them? Then I took a step back. What can I control? Oh, my buddy over here knows this dude's attorney. Let me call him and triangulate it. So I started becoming very solution focused. When it's going bad and you become solution focused, dude, you're hard to deal with. If you will continue to work, not complain, be solution focused in that perspective, as long as you're in an industry that doesn't require any talent, you're going to kick ass.
Love it. How old are you now?
51.
51. And how old were you when you became a millionaire?
First year that I drew and made $1 million in a year, I think I was 41.
41.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to end with this one. A young 20-year-old kid watching this right now, aspiring to become a multimillionaire like yourself, right? They want to own a private jet one day, just like you. What advice would you give to them? Give them the blueprint of what it really takes to create, build that long-term generational wealth like you. If you could leave them with a couple last words, a couple last sound bites on what it really takes. Like, how can somebody own a private jet in today's world?
Well, first of all, owning a private jet's expensive. You know, I feel like I'm going to buy it. Dude, buying ain't the problem. Maintaining it is the problem. You know what I mean? It's sitting around costs you 150 grand a month, minimally. Blueprint, though, right, is at any age, but let's take a 20-year-old, right? It's understanding what's really possible and surrounding yourself with good people. I found a really good attorney. So that story I told you, also the end result had a really good attorney. I found a really good accountant early on. Like, even though there were probably more than I could afford, but I found a really good attorney, really good accountant. And then once I started making money, I found like, I can manage my money, but dude, I can't spend all day long and do what they do. I can't research funds and equities and this over here in the IPO market. I can't do that all day long. So I find people that can, right? So connect yourself with good people early. Ingratiate yourself to them. How do you do that? Ask good questions. A lot of people want to mentor people. They do. They're just never asked. And the reason that most people don't want to mentor, it's like you. How many people have asked you about what you do? They're not listening. You start answering, they talk over you. They're not really going to do it. They're like, how did you get to 3 million? You start talking, they're like, yeah, I know, like I did it. You're like, right? You're kind of like disheartened. You're like, dude, I'm just trying to help you. I got a few minutes to talk to you. Can you shut up while I give you the answer? But they can't do it. And then you don't want to mentor because you're like, dude, this is a waste of my time. And it's actually a waste of his time too. And I don't want to waste our time, right? So you find people that are willing to mentor you. And also, dude, capital. I found my capital in local banks. I found my capital in people that would invest in me. I do it now. I have people that now I'm doing the other. Now they're like, will you join us, be on the board, help us with this fund, and we're going to acquire businesses in this industry. Okay, cool, because I've done it, and I can manage it, and I have a unique ability to talk to both the sales and the leadership, the distribution, and be somebody that can continue to talk to everybody. Wow, I was great. Real estate, I was in a meeting when I got that $1 million line of credit, and the president of the bank, who was like 80 years old, pulled me aside afterwards and said, I'm going to give you the money. but I'm going to tell you what your greatest skill set is right now. And he did that because I was always asking him questions. He never even answered me. I was always nice. He answered every once in a while. He pulled me aside because I was so willing to be mentored. And he said, you have a unique ability to talk to everybody. You can go in this meeting and talk to us. You can go to the job site, get in the garage, talk to the sheetrockers. You can go up on a roof and tell the roofers to feel like you can talk to everybody. You have this ability to communicate with everybody. Learn to be flexible and learn to have great communicative ability. How do you do it? Watch other people that are good at it. I learned by watching people that were great at it. My old mentor growing up was really good at it. He played professional baseball 12 years. He was super smart. He built a massive real estate company, but he could, property management, he could get in the meeting and explain why in his word, and his favorite word was F this, F that, F this, F that, which I was comfortable with because that's how I was raised. So I'm like, I'm all in. But he could talk to everybody. Then he could go walk and talk to anybody in front of anybody about anything eloquently, professionally. So learn to be all things to all people, if you will, until you find out where you actually need to live and make your money. And you develop those relationships growing up and find, like, you've found a niche. People your age want to know shit, and you're getting it for them. And you have the courage to go ask people. First time you went up to somebody randomly and asked them a question, was it uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yes, of course. If you were like, no, it's not, I'd be a liar. Of course it was. But you did it anyway. Why'd you do it?
I saw the potential there.
Correct.
To create something great.
And also, maybe other people didn't have the courage you did. Maybe they wouldn't ask. Maybe you're asking questions of people that everybody wants the answers to, and they're too afraid to ask. They walk out in places and see people with nice cars. I've never had one person. I had one guy the other day. I hired him a month ago. Stopped me in the road. Coming down, man. I was like, so I do what I do. I reach for my gun because I'm like, this is about to get ugly for this fool. So I'm a really good shot. You know what I mean? So I just grab my gun and make sure there's a bullet in the chamber, and I just roll the window down, and I'm just got my gun here, waiting to see if he does something stupid. Pop, pop, and I'm gonna go on my way. And he stopped. I said, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, sorry. I go, what are you standing in the middle of the road for? He's like, how did you get this car? I said, I bought it. He said, I've always wanted a Ferrari. I said, congratulations. I said, you know you can get run over by stopping people in the middle of the road, right? He goes, yeah, I'm sorry. I said, how old are you? He said, 18 years of age. I go, what are you doing down here? He goes, I'm a student at FAU, and I take care of some of the boats down here. I clean them. I said, how can I help you? He goes, how'd you buy the car? I said, cash. I said, ask better questions, and I'll answer them. He goes, what did you do to make the money? I said, become great at frickin' sales. Do you want to work with me? He's like, yes. And I was like, good, get your Instagram. Boom, hired him, got in class, he's selling life insurance. But most people won't. But I've never had anybody else. I mean, dude, please don't stand in the road and get in front of everybody, because that was a little bit crazy, right? But it's getting people to understand that dynamic, right? Is you have that courage. Now you have an obligation to stand up for other people because they don't have that courage, right? And if you're young enough and you're willing to, because what you just said is the key. Every time it's uncomfortable, you're onto something. Every time it's uncomfortable, accept it. You're growing. Because, like, here's you, here's your client, here's you, here's your customer, here's you, here's your lender, and you have to get uncomfortable to get them in the middle, too. You can't just live in comfortableness. If you're willing to get crazy uncomfortable at your age, you're willing to surround yourself with good people, you're willing to be teachable, and don't be egotistical. Nobody likes it. Do very well, be humble, breathe life into people. Dude, you'll make as much money as you want, and that's a fact.
That was phenomenal. Sean,
It's good?
that was one of the best interviews I've ever done. I promise you.
You're great, dude.
Guys, that's a wrap on today's video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for amazing content coming soon. We're on our way to bring you guys some of the best advice from some of the most successful business owners in the entire world. So stay tuned for that. Sean, where can everybody find you out?
Anywhere, man. Instagram, my name is Sean, S-H-A-W-N. Mike is my last name, but it's M-E-A-I-K-E. My YouTube channel is that. Close and Conquer's a podcast that you're going to be on, and you're going to kill it. So Instagram, YouTube, follow, like, share, please, because this guy is an absolute stud, man. It's an honor to talk to you, bro. A lot of people do this, but a lot of them aren't good.
Yeah.
You're really good, man.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah. And guys, be sure to click here to watch our full video going all over Dallas, asking multimillionaires how they became wealthy and how you can start your path to becoming financially free in 2024.